So, welcome to the very first episode of PitchGround. I'm your host, Udit Goenka, the founder and CEO of PitchGround. And with me today is Ty Duran, the CEO and founder of MarketPlan.io, a fantastic upcoming tool on PitchGround Marketplace. And I'm very excited. Ty, please start telling me about yourself, um, what MarketPlan is about, how you got into it. I have a lot of questions, so I'm going to start shooting up all the questions. So let's just get going.
Sure. Yeah. So, man, we're so excited, man, to be a part of PitchGround and what you guys are just enabling the community to come together. And I tell you right now, just a little bit about me. I've been in the marketing world for about 2 years, so I'm still coming up there. But I instantly noticed coming into the marketplace that based on another SaaS company that we actually have, another product that we actually have. And there's a lot of need for people to be able to plan out their marketing effectively and be able to execute. And so that was really the brainchild moment for me, was like, man, I've been doing this for the last 2 years and I'm running around like a chicken without a head, I need a place to put order to all this. I need a place to make sense of all this, to assign things to my teams and my developers and all that stuff, And so MarketPlan.io was born from all that, so.
I can completely relate to it. So
really,
so before we dive into MarketPlan, I want to know more about you and why did you started this journey of online? What kicked you in to start this online journey?
Well, I think I didn't even know that this like kind of environment, like online marketing, even existed. I think for me it was like, I just as a kid and as a teenager, I was just infatuated with the ability to build a product.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used the only thing that I knew how at the time. I was a musician, I got the dreadlocks.
That's brilliant.
So I'm still holding on to some of that heritage. But so no, I was a musician. And so I figured, man, like I've got to, try to figure out what I can do. So I started building my own products. I built 3 albums for the iTunes store.
Wow,
and
nice.
did relatively well, was starting to travel Florida, had my own t-shirt brand. I was building like physical products and going out there and hustling and selling them. And then I met one of my buddies, and he told me like, dude, like, why don't you take this thing online? And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I just thought big companies did that. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
just a regular Joe could do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, how do I do that? And I struggled. And I remember sitting there with WordPress back in the day, trying to make it work. And, I got like 3 or 4 e-commerce stores that failed completely.
Ouch.
And never was able to make a sale. Didn't know about Facebook advertising. Didn't know about any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, one day, that same buddy gives me a call.
Mm-hmm.
And he says to me, hey, can you come to Chick-fil-A, which is, one of the famous fast food restaurants here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Says to me, hey, meet me at Chick-fil-A for 5 hours. You've got a really keen design eye. I've seen your t-shirt designs. I've seen your album covers. Can you help me develop an application? And I was like, what do you mean application? I didn't even have any. I had no idea. So I go over there, and it takes 5 hours. But during those 5 hours, I build my first UI UX experience.
Out of like nowhere? Like, how did you study?
You could call it destiny because I just said to him, honestly, I asked him these questions because they're top level marketers, the founders of ConversionFly are top level direct response marketers. So when I asked him a question, I just used questions to build this UI. I said to him, like, what are the 5 things you want to see the moment the page loads? And I said, if you had 10 minutes a day to be able to make an educated marketing decision, what would you want to know from me? If I could just report back to you for 10 minutes, what would you want to know? And he's like, I could make an educated decision off of these numbers. And we came up with the 21 key marketing metrics. And from that moment, I just built this UI based on that, and kind of went through and found the tools, and we found the developer, and the developer, I guess he was already working on the project, but we started building the first version of that particular product. So like I said, then I came awake and alive to how many people that came on board to that product that had funnels and what a funnel was. And I started to come alive going, oh my gosh, this is a whole universe. This is a thing. People can do this. And so instantly just started falling in love with the community, fall in love with the people. And, like I said, then the ideas started happening when I started noticing these little bottlenecks and things that as I spoke to users on the phone, they would always say the same thing. Well, it's tough. Well, I don't even know what to do next. What would you say I should do next? They would ask me that question. And I'm saying that, well, I'm a key marketing metrics guy. I'm not necessarily a marketing coach. And they would say, I just don't know what to do next. And so I was thinking, man, we've got to build something, that allows them to do that. And so hence the journey over the last 2 years of us being able to build, multiple tools that help marketers in every step of their, converting life, what they want to build,
And what was it like to talk to your first customer on call, asking you questions about Conversion Fly, which is your first product, and actually seeing that it is solving a problem? How was that feeling?
It's honestly, it was revolutionary because I'd always been like, hey, buy this t-shirt, and I always knew that t-shirt was going to end up in the trash a year later, but the thing about this kind of business was, man, people were legitimately using it. They were actually making money. I had one guy that I spoke to in the beginning of when we started, and he was just doing credit repair for other Americans. And he had Conversion Fly, and he was instantly able to see which marketing channel for him was most profitable. And he was instantly able to cut out the ones that weren't. And that moment for me was I actually felt like I was actually helping. I think that's the best thing a SaaS founder could ever do, is feel like, wow, the product is actually helping people do better business. And so, man, what an amazing experience you did. I can tell you right now.
I can completely relate to what you're saying right now. That feeling is just incredible. So how did you start transitioning from one SaaS to another SaaS? How do you manage it?
So yeah, it's not easy. I don't sleep at all.
High five on that.
I mean, you know how it is. I mean, for us, the reality was we knew that we had a good product, but we knew that in order for us to be able to build an ecosystem of marketers that would actually, because we had a lot of people that would come to the door and they would say, it's great that I have these metrics, but I don't necessarily have a way to plan my marketing, so I can't necessarily make my funnel,
right?
And I can't necessarily write good copy, so they would fail.
Right.
And so our goal really, Udit, is to try to see if we can create an ecosystem by which people actually make it in the marketing world. We feel same like Russell Brunson, Todd Brown, all these big time marketers, they always say the same thing. They say, you're one well executed marketing funnel away from changing the rest of your life.
Right. Completely.
People just, they don't, because out of sight is out of mind. And when they don't have context to what needs to be done, what needs to take place, how it's converting, all of these questions that a marketer should be looking at. And a lot of times there are people that have these things, but they're normally the guys who have a team of 30 people. They have a team of 30 people. They have a whole data team. We have some of our Conversion Fly users. They have 5 guys on just their data team. And then their guys, and they're like, I don't even think we need 5 guys, because now Conversion Fly is doing 3 of those guys' jobs,
So you actually help them elevate a couple of people.
Exactly. They're just like, oh, cool. Our job just got way easier because we are now able to tell how profitable traffic channels are. And like I said, I mean, so for instance, we see these companies that come in, they've got the money, they've got the, the capital to be able to do this. But then we see guys like Joe or Dennis, or people that we've just met in there, and they're like ninja marketers, man. They're just trying to make it happen. They're on Facebook, they're on Google, they're trying to see what's profitable, and they come through the door and they love it because they can build a tracking link, they can track it, and then, but what we found was that sometimes we would go in with these people and we would talk with them, and then they would build a funnel, and their funnel wouldn't have context, it wouldn't be congruent with their ads, it wouldn't. And we would say to them, hey, have you thought of this? Have you thought of pitching the offer like this? And every time we would do that, users would jump at the opportunity. Can you meet with me again? Can you meet with me again? And we started realizing, man, I think people just want to actually have a place to put something in order and like have like a to-do list of, I have to do this in order to be successful. And so we thought, like, we really see the deficit in planning, because we, you know, what they say is, you know, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. We say in the marketing world, if you fail to plan, you've already failed.
Right. Right. So what was your transition from like the first software to the second? How did you start transitioning? How did you start managing your time? Because one of the biggest challenges that we all face, because most of the people are working on more than one projects or more than one products. So how did you manage to like handle both of them at the same time while managing at the team? So what's that little secret behind that you want to reveal?
Yeah, so I mean, with balancing multiple products, I can honestly say the biggest thing I've found as a leverage point is to just block pieces of my time. To just say like, okay, today I have to get this asset to this developer. I have to make sure I write this copy, and I have to make sure that I get this, do this conversation with this person. And a lot of the times, you know, you'll never see the end of the end of the tunnel. You'll never see the light. And you're in this dark place where you're just like, am I ever going to make it? But you have to persevere. You see, like, nothing ever worth building was ever built in a day. And this is where most marketers give up, right? They don't do the work because they think, if I do that, then that's not even going to make a dent in it. Well, you know, rather eat one bite of the elephant today, and then tomorrow you've got less of the elephant on the and I think that's what people get discouraged with, because they don't see success immediately. They don't see that success happen that moment. They don't see it happen the day or the week of. But prolificity, like being prolific and keeping going and just keep going, don't stop. And one day you're going to look back and go, oh my gosh, how do we get here? You know, just takes continuous building of doing that. So like what I would do is, I would normally, and this is the biggest thing with building a product, if you're building a SaaS product especially, is I just start with, of course, the UI and UX. Like I build the entire thing inside of like a prototype app, you know, just like, you know, anyone who would build an app. And normally, you know, what I used to do with my older products is I would just kind of chicken scratch something together. Now I don't do that anymore. I actually sit there and I go, well, what if someone clicks this button, and what if they want to go back? What if they want to do this? And I build like for MarketPlan.io, I remember I built a 97 screen prototype. 97 screen prototype. That was
you might want to share it later on so that we can add it, and maybe we can add that in PitchGround. So look at the transition. You know how how it started with just a sketch, and look at the product right now, because a lot of the users they don't know, or they don't understand that. It all starts with a sketch, and how it ends up with a working product that can just change your life, like altogether, all of a sudden.
That's it. And like I said, I think the thing for me was, you know, having built some products where I'm like, okay, I'm building this part of the app, and then I'll give it to you, and then I'll build this part of the app and I'll give it to you. See, I've now built 2 apps, and one of them hasn't even hit the market yet, but I built 2 apps like from the ground up in prototype world. And then being able to like ask my team, like, what are you frustrated about with this prototype? And normally I can like eliminate a lot of the frustrations within the prototype already. And so, man, I can tell you, like, prototyping is one of my favorite things to do, because it gets UI, UX in the way. Now, granted, you're not going to be able to cover everything, right? So I can show you, there's actually 2 boards from MarketPlan.io. There's one that has 97 screens on it, and there's another one that's got all the stuff I forgot on it, right? But the reality is, as long as you can get to that point where you've got the idea churning, man, it turns into something really quickly, because, you know, there's this old saying, write the vision down so the person who runs with it can actually run with it. Like, I find my developers can only move as fast as what I give them a visual reference for. They can build, sky is the limit for what they can build. But normally it's just like, Ty, what do you want? And that's the biggest bottleneck that I found in this business is, if I can't clearly communicate what it is that I want, I'm not going to be able to get the result that I want out of it, you know?
So what is the importance of building a team versus building the right team for you? And
Yeah.
how, and at the same time, like how challenging was it to build that right team?
So it's interesting because, I've had the mistakes. I can honestly say I've had the moments where I'm pounding my head on the desk going, this is not going to work. There was a point in MarketPlan IO's history where I literally said, we are going to back burner this project for a few years. And that was a very sad day. And I was met with the challenge of my team saying, Ty, how could you get rid of something this awesome? This is going to change the marketing world. And man, it was tough because I went down that road, and it was always like, we had a particular developer. He was from China. There was a massive, language barrier, but I was working with it because I knew this guy was, he was awesome. He was fast. He moved fast. And we were getting stuff done. But the thing that to me that was, imperative was that he understood the actual process of what I wanted to get done.
Right.
So one of the hardest decisions that I made for MarketPlan IO was letting that lead developer of that particular product go. And we sat for about 3 to 4 weeks, Judith, without another dev. Like literally the project just sat there, and I would just play with it every day. I would click and drag things on, and I would just cry. This will not be a product, And then I just came around the corner, and I thought, no, there's got to be someone else out there. And I didn't give up. Like when I say I interviewed tens of people, and no, that's not the one. No, that's not the one. No, that's not the one. I was just dead set. I think I spent 2-3 weeks just trying to find the right guy. And I found this guy who was, he was kind of in between jobs at the moment. He was at home, and, he didn't have any certification necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said to him, would you be willing to try something out with me? Would you be willing to give it a shot? And he came back day one and told me that like all the horror stories of what this other developer had done to us. Like he had built this system, and he had all users were in the same database. I mean, there was horror story after horror story, but that guy fixed all of those problems within 15 days.
Wow.
And within 3 to 4 months, MarketPlan IO has become what it is.
Wow. I've been playing around it for the past 2-3 weeks. You have no idea. I'm already moving my entire team on it.
Really?
I've started training them on it already because it's a no-brainer, So especially anyone who's running an agency, even if they're not running an agency, if they're just running their own SaaS business, it's kind of no-brainer because it really helps you to visualize, track, and do a ton of things right there in one dashboard. I'm also slowly soon moving out of Asana completely. I don't need it anymore. I can put everything inside one dashboard. So instead of me inviting my client at one place, then managing at other place, it was a nightmare for me at the same time. And this comes like a complete blessing in disguise. I'm just there, one portal, everything there. So I'm personally very happy, So I just want to thank you for even building marketplan.io on the first place.
Oh, thank you, man. I mean, we are so excited because we know that if people were to get this, if they were to understand what we've tried to build here,
right,
that they would have an environment
right,
that they can build pages in, write email copy,
right,
do their chatbots, do literally the sky's the limit, Kanbans, Trello boards. I mean, you name it, everything
right,
that they inside there. And like you said, we're really hoping that teams and agencies use this because, with the client portal and the custom domain and everything that we've been able to do, we really want to make this so that people are proud to present these kinds of plans and walk their clients through. I had a guy who converted recently. He was he messaged me and said, hey, I've been able to convert a $5,700 a month, thing with market, like a deal with a particular real estate agent in the real estate niche with MarketPlan IO, just like that. He just got this lady on a call. He said, this is what our plan is. We're going to do this. He was starting to drag it on live in front of her. And she was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that. And he was like, well, let me invite you. And next thing you know, she signed up $5,700 a month just like that.
You know,
And
that's the same thing that happened to me very recently. I was talking to one of the clients, and I was talking about funnels, and they were like, "Yeah, I've heard a lot about funnels, but what exactly is a funnel?" So you keep hearing about terms in marketing world, but you actually don't know what that term means. So I was like, "Okay, don't worry. Like, I'll just invite you." I started playing around, and I was going live. And one of the best part was actually showing and making it live in front of the client, which was amazing because the client was on the other side, and I was just building up the funnels. And I told my client that, look, this is the entire process, and she was like, wow, this is brilliant, and for sure the strategy is gonna work. And the deal was closed right away. Like, I didn't even have to like pitch, like everything was done. I was just displaying my client, and everything was done. So the visual is something that really helps all of us out, because we're all human beings. And that's why, like, we cannot remember the IP address, but we can remember the domain name. So that's how we
exactly.
are. We cannot remember the features, but we can remember how it can benefit, or the story behind it. We can remember that. That's how we human beings are. So
That's it.
that's why market plan, like, really fits in for regardless of any company. And I can see, like, I've been playing around. I can see so many other people getting benefited from this particular software for sure.
Yeah, and we've gotten a lot of users that have come through the door, and they're already making massive suggestions of, what's next, like being able to have a global Kanban, or being able to actually do some sort of like Salesforce kind of like grid
Mhm.
system where we could import email addresses that come from forms. So we've been thinking about all these things that now make it possible inside of MarketPlan, because we really do think that what should happen is there should be one central place.
Right.
So we're actually in the works right now. We're finishing up on a couple of the things, and as we get to launch, we plan then to actually launch our iPad and iPhone applications. And so that's really an exciting part, because it's going to actually allow you MarketPlan to go with you, and you'll be able to write the copy to your next email, right on the plane, or do whatever you want to do, and be able to do it mobilely and be able to do it everywhere. And so we're excited to meet the challenge, because we know how many people are going to, we want people that are in the marketing world to be able to just tackle any single task that comes to their mind. So we broke things up into like, okay, here's pages, here's conversion elements,
Right.
here's campaign sequences. We've got the
Right.
ability to write emails and go through and plan your
Right.
blogs out, enter your keyword strategy, everything that you would normally go through as a marketer. And trust me, as the challenges continue to come up, because marketing is an ever changing, effervescent
Right.
kind of thing, we will plan to build mini apps inside of MarketPlan.io that allow you to leverage those particular challenges that you meet. And so we think MarketPlan should be basically a ton of different apps that allow you to, in one central place, allow you to market fast and efficiently, and also optimize with the live mode.
No, for sure. Like, the live mode is just brilliant. The tracking itself is worth it. Like, I don't even know, like, how you coded that in 4 months. Like, that's just, and I think like, because of entrepreneurs like you, me, the coffee businesses are making like most of the money because we are just surviving because of caffeine and coffee, and we are able to like work like a horsepower at this point of stage.
Oh, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Actually, it was funny because I actually had to give up coffee because it was getting out of hand,
Seriously?
man. It was getting out of hand for me. I was like, I got to do something here. So I've had to try to figure out other ways of keeping myself awake. I take 15-minute naps like twice a day.
That helps.
Oh gosh, it's hilarious what we have to do as entrepreneurs.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
I want to ask you one question. So when you start hiring, or whenever you are hiring for your team or for your projects, what are the five? So since you said you rejected almost 10 people before hiring your 11th one, what are the
Yeah.
top five questions that you ask to each of those person? On what criteria do you base them on before getting them on board as your team member?
Yeah. So I think, That question could be answered two ways, right? We could answer it from just a general way, but then I could kind of answer it the way I go about it. So the
Mm-hmm.
general way would be, to say, hey, make sure that you put the actual criteria of the project in front of them,
Mm-hmm.
write it out, get it done.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's different, and I'll tell you why. Because for me, I'm always testing. I believe the old adage, it's a Bible verse that says, if you ask for anything, you should ask for understanding. And what
Right.
I normally do is I'm always poking and prodding that particular, potential, or that in that interview, that potential coworker. I'm trying to find out if they actually have understanding. Because if they have understanding, then pretty much you've answered a lot more questions than, hey, can you do this? Or hey, can you do that? Or hey, can you do this? When someone understands something, then what they can do is what's called self-innovate. And I'm always
Right.
on the lookout as a entrepreneur for a self-starter. I want someone who can say, oh, I have an idea. I could take these two systems and put them together and make something out of it. I
Right.
don't want to have to be the guy chasing that. There's three levels of delegation. The
Right.
first level is, go and do this task and come back to me. And
Right.
what that is, a lot of back and forth. The second one
Right.
is go and do that, and then once it's finished, come back to me. The
Right.
third level of delegation is make the problem go away.
Right.
So what I'm looking for is that third level, that person that's like, hey, Ty, this is a problem. Okay, what are you
Right.
going to do to fix it? That's what I'm
Right.
looking for. Do you have the
Right.
understanding? So when I'm interviewing people, it's up to me as the entrepreneur to
Right.
actually have that understanding. So I'll give you an example. I've been going into some new technology now where, a lot of people don't know about. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with progressive web apps, but
Yes.
progressive web apps are now only hitting the market probably for the
Yes.
last 6 months.
Yes.
And Twitter's moved there, and a lot of people have moved there, but a lot of the market doesn't know about PWAs. That's progressive web apps. They don't know about it, and they don't know the huge opportunity that's on the horizon. So when I'm interviewing people, I'm asking them, "Do you know what a PWA is?" And they're going, "No." And so because they don't know that, I know I'm already in the wrong ballpark. I have a place to start. Like, if I'm looking for someone who's going to be able to make something load on my web page dynamically, I'm going to ask them a question. Have you worked with Ajax before? Have you worked with being able to load things on the page without it reloading the entire page? If they say to me, well, I'm not really familiar with Ajax, I
Right.
already know I'm not in the right ballpark. So
Right.
there's a lot of these questions that you can ask. These are understanding, like, based things that if you've done enough research as the
Right.
entrepreneur, that you don't. Firstly, I don't know how to write a single line in Ajax, right? I don't know
Right.
how to write a line in JavaScript. I don't know how to write a line in any of these things, but I know how to find the right people to do it because I understand what the tech actually allows me to leverage.
Right.
It's not just like I'm sitting there with my business and going, wait, what do we need? Okay, it's all weird to me. Like, I've made the choice in my life to
Right.
be able to understand what their job is going to entail so that
Right.
I can ask them critical questions on where they are in the process. So when I interviewed this new guy, for instance, I said to him, listen, I'm going to need you to be able to put HTML5, JavaScript, Ajax,
Right.
and some Angular pieces together so that we can actually create a conducive canvas system by which people can drag and drop. Have you worked with
Right.
jQuery? And
Right.
when someone asks them that, they're like, man, have I worked with jQuery? That's not a normal question that I get out there when people are prospecting. They just say, I want this to be able to move, and a lot of
Right.
people have different ways of solving that problem, but unless you know the best way, and
Right.
I don't get this from being a crazy techie. I just get this from sitting on my laptop for hours and hours and hours, just going, how to build this, how to build that. And I find these little niche videos on YouTube
Right.
when someone's explaining it, and finally I get the idea, go, gosh, that's what I need. I need someone who could be able to do that. When
Mm-hmm.
you come to the market with that, it's actually that your team feels a lot more excited to work with you
Mm-hmm.
because they don't feel like you're just this uninvolved person. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense? Like, you're just like, get the problem done. And
Right.
like, you're able to ask them, hey, were you able to get the Ajax working? Like, is that working? Can I go ahead and see it now? Then you can keep them accountable a bit more to what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And also you can write out the plan better. And that's where
Right.
Market Plan came from, was like, I felt like, man, if I could just write out the plan for them, they could run with it.
Right.
And so that's what I normally try to do. I try to get the understanding. And then as I start leveraging that understanding, I can actually start really propagating those changes. And the developers love it. The operations guys love it. All of my customer success guys love it because I'm able to actually understand. I go into my chat software and I learn it all the way through. I do everything, and this is what I spend most of my time on. And people say to me, how do you build 3 products and have all this time to go and dive into the chat software and dive into the mailer account and dive into the reality is because I want to train people to be able to do that for me. And so I have to be kind of the forefront leader of that. Now I don't have to know everything in there. I just have to know what is in there. Right. That's the goal. If you can know what, that's it. If you can just know the fundamental building blocks, you can help someone, you can give them the bricks and they can build the house for you,
So if someone is just starting out right now as a SaaS founder, what is that one suggestion that you will give to him or her?
Yeah, I would say, I think the first thing is build a solid prototype of what it is you're about to do. You might actually get, 3/4 the way through that prototype and realize that your idea is a terrible idea.
And what is that one suggestion that you will advise the founders not to do?
Not to do? Do not take no for an answer. That's what I would say. Don't take no for an answer. When you've hit the wall and there's nothing left to give, that's where you find something on the inside of you that you've never found before. That's when you find something inside of you that you're like, I didn't actually know this existed inside of me, That's where you push beyond.
I completely agree to it.
Of what the average guy is going to do. When I was first building ConversionFly, and we were taking months and months and months and months to catch up to the competition. We were catching up, and then all of a sudden we hit this transcendent moment where we were starting to surpass the competition. And it was grueling because we were doing, Facebook API integration. We were doing all this stuff that was revolutionary, lossless tracking technology, stuff that just nobody else has. And I was having to sit there and use my brain more than I was having to do anything else. I was like, well, how is this possibly going to work?
Right.
Well, come down to it. What my buddy said to me, one of the greatest lines he said to me, he said, just listen, every single yard we push the ball down the field is another yard that our competitor has to come down the field to just meet us where we're at.
Nice. I like that. I'm going to put that as a quote,
Yeah. I was like, man, like that kind of changed my thinking about it. It's like, listen, this is not going to go to waste. Like once you've built a piece of tech or a piece of software or an info product, or like I said, or a marketing campaign, and you've built it well and you've built it with like your own unique identifier, your client's not going to be able to replicate that.
Right.
Like your competitor's not going to be able to replicate that because your whole back end process of what you've worked hours and hours and weeks and months to develop, that's the value that you are able to offer up front to your prospect. You're able to say, listen, you solved the problem for you. And that's the reason why they can look and say, listen, this is a no-brainer. I have to be able to do this. I have to be able to leverage this because this is not only saving me time, save me money. And that's what people pay for, right? Solutions. Right. That's why they call it a solution, is because a solution is because of the problem.
Right.
And so I would say focus on the problem and don't take no for an answer. Those are the two biggest things. Focus on solving the issue.
And those two are like absolutely brilliant suggestion. And I'm for sure anyone who's watching this video or who's going to be watching tomorrow, day after tomorrow, after a year, upcoming founders, they will really love all these advices because you can only learn from someone's experience. And if you can learn and if you can really take those advices, you can really have the biggest growth hack in your life if you start listening to those people who have actually achieved something or who have failed at something, because they're sharing your experience, and experience is something that will only come by over a period of time.
That's it.
Okay, so this is my favorite question that I'm going to be asking. So the reason why I came, I got PitchGround up and running was because I want entrepreneurs to actually go and pitch, because these communities or these buyers who are going to be buying are basically like an investors. They're like mini small investors who are who are
Right.
believing in your product, who are trusting in your product. And this is actually my favorite round that I've come up with for PitchGround. It's known as the pitch elevation round, where you're going to be getting 90 seconds. That's it, not a second more, only 90 seconds to pitch for your product. What if market plan, they should be getting it. So just 90 seconds. That's all you will have to pitch for your product. Are you ready
Okay.
for it?
Oh gosh, I guess yes.
All right, let's shoot.
You know, in the marketing world, they say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. We say if you fail to plan, you've already failed. We want people to be able to make it in the marketing world, and 100% of the failed marketing campaigns out there are for a lack of planning. If you have a well-executed marketing campaign or funnel, you're going to make some sort of money. Now, it may not even be your best idea, but it may be a big idea. And we think MarketPlan.io is the way to put your big idea into a place where not only you, but even a team member or an entire team can run with the play. It's like football. Football, you only have 11 minutes of game time, but people stay in the stands for 4 hours. Why? Because it's a game, just like marketing, just like it's a strategy game. It's not a game of just sport. It's a game of strategy. And if you understand that marketing is a game of strategy, then MarketPlan.io is the perfect solution for you to be able to leverage and optimize every single piece of your marketing so that you can begin converting online today.
Wow, that was actually pretty good. You did it in like 65 seconds.
Oh, really?
So you still had like 25 seconds in your hand, but
Oh,
good
gosh,
job.
I don't even know what else to say.
No, but that's brilliant. You could define your entire piece of tech in just 65 seconds to someone. That's just absolutely brilliant. So there's already a marketer inside you.
Yeah.
But I think this is what happens when you make a product or a tech from your heart. You can just speak from your heart, and
That's right.
and you can just define whatever that piece of tech is in a matter of less than a minute, to be honest with you.
And I think the biggest reason why that is because you have the same pain.
Yes.
You know, the same pain, and you're reaching out to people and saying, listen, I did something about it. I did something about it.
Right. So here comes our next round. I'm going to be asking you 7 questions, and
Okay.
it's going to be a super rapid fire question. So you got to like answer them in like just a couple of words or maybe like one sentence. That's it.
Okay.
Nothing more than that. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 1. What's your biggest win so far?
Our biggest win so far would be Conversion Fly, launching out into the public and continuing to be one of the most successful marketing, optimization tools on the internet.
Perfect. Question number 2, tea or coffee?
Coffee, even though I don't drink it anymore.
All right. Question number 3, which is your favorite city?
My favorite city, oh gosh, Barcelona so far.
Brilliant. You're based you're based out of Barcelona? Like you were born and brought up in Barcelona, or you just visited Barcelona?
Oh, my wife and I visited there. And
okay. This is why it's so special.
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 4. How many hours do you sleep a day?
4.
Okay. Okay. Question number 5. What does failure mean to you?
Failure means an opportunity to get up.
That's brilliant. I love that answer. Question number 6. What do you wish you had known when you started out?
I wish I knew that conversations with people was going to lead to better solutions.
Brilliant. Question number 7, final one. What's something that you have failed at?
I've failed at listening.
All right. So that was just 7 questions, and you did pretty well. And I think I'll send you like a PitchGround, like a kit or something for answering all this question, like honestly. So thank you so much, Ty. It was pleasure having you on show. And for those of you who don't know, MarketPlan.io is coming on PitchGround very soon. Do not miss out on this opportunity because it took me a lot of convincing to even get MarketPlan.io on a lifetime deal that we're going to be offering. Once again, do not miss it out, because if you do, you're really going to regret, because he didn't even want to do lifetime deal on the first place. And it took me almost a month to convince him that yes, we can, there is this tool can really benefit people. Not only that, people will actually get and use the product. And that was the sole reason that he even agreed to it, because he wanted to help out all the starters, all the people. Apart from that, we have amazing range of course that will be keep updating on a very regular basis. You have Ty, and he's going to be coming in on our show very often. We'll be doing a lot of live shows in the future as well, so that we can provide you value, we can provide you experience, we can provide you the knowledge that's required. And it's not the tech or product or any software that can really help you succeed in life. It's the person behind that software that can really help you succeed, because it's their experience, their knowledge that shows into the product. And that product is just a byproduct of their knowledge. And that knowledge is something that one should really like leverage upon if they're really keen on learning. So this is something that Ty is always going to be there. So I just want to thank Ty once again for giving PitchGround an opportunity to help marketplan.io come on our ground. And your pitch was fabulous. Let's see how the people would love your pitch. Once again, thank you so much for having. Thank you so much once again for being over here on our very first episode of PitchGround.
Oh, I'm so excited, Judith. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on here.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much, Ty.
All right, have a good one, eh?
Yeah.